Hello and welcome to the Cutie Art Crusaders, episode 157 for July 14th, 2015. My name is Rainbow Plasma. I'm the organizer and host of the podcast, and today I'm joined by...
Blurned, the special guest coordinator and editor this week.
Yep, there you go. You got it.
And general town idiot.
And we're also joined by...
DarkFlame. Hi, I'm back again.
And you are?
I'm an artist, and I've been on the show before. I'm actually sitting next to Burned in person.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
Dark's going to be staying with me for a day or two, and right when we're recording the podcast, we figured out why not have him on as a guest.
Yeah.
So we're not going to be doing a Dark interview, so this isn't going to be the Luna episode that everyone wants, unfortunately, that Dark wants. But at least it'll be a little... It'll be fun.
Yeah. So, Joel is away because of Bali again. I don't know whether or not he's going to be back next week. I'm going to take a guess and say no. He's not going to be back.
Can you tell me what Bali is?
It's Bali.
Bali? What is that? I don't know. Is that India? Like, like Bollywood?
Dark, did you listen to like a couple of weeks ago or something?
I did.
I hate you.
Yes, I did.
So basically what happened, Vernon, was...
Please fill me in.
Joel was like, I'm going to Bali. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, so you're going to be in Bali. And he's like, no, it's not Bali. It's Bali.
Okay.
Like, he said it the exact same way that I did. and every single time I said it, he corrected me for it. So anyways, doesn't matter. So he'll be back. I don't know if it'll be next week or the week after. I know he's flying in something like... he's flying in on like a Tuesday, but I don't know if it's like this Tuesday or the next Tuesday or whatever. So we'll figure that out. You'll know because he'll be on next week or whatever, or he won't.
I still missed where that was.
And Ted isn't here because of unknown reasons. He said he couldn't record on Friday or Saturday. He could only record on Thursday or Sunday, and I was busy, so we just decided Burned is back. Let's record with Burned on the Friday, and it ended up working out because we could replace those two with DarkFlame here, so that's cool.
Yep,
Sweet.
it's true.
Filling holes.
Yep.
That's what it does.
That's what I do.
I don't know why. This entire summer... Like, I'm not sure if it's a reflection of the fact that, like, I just don't have plans or something, but, like, it's just, like, a rotating, like, cast of people who are in and out, and I've been here, like, every single week. I might have missed, like, one or two, but, like, in general, the podcast has been, like, a rotating cast this entire summer.
I like it. See, we're slowly and slowly ever becoming the Rooster Teeth of the Brony world.
Yeah, we just have to start, like, inviting more. We have to make ourselves into a company.
We need... Who's the... Oh, God, is it... Oh my god! I'm trying to remember a name.
Like, who are you trying to think of?
The chick from Rooster Teeth.
Barbara.
I wanted to say Brenda, but that's my pet name.
Yep.
Barbara.
Tiny Suckles.
Damn it, Dark. Not in public. Anyway, we need... I already forgot her name.
Barbara!
We need a Barbara for our podcast.
What,
she
a girl?
always has puns. Well, one, a girl, but two, we need unnecessary puns. So...
No.
Like, we've never had just a girl, like, on the show.
Well, we've never had just a girl on the show. What does that mean?
As like a part of the cast, not just...
Poor Jordana, who came on for the color episode.
Oh, she did.
Burned.
Alright, I'm gonna edit all of this out. Anyway.
No, keep it in. It's great. I love it. Oh, yeah.
Anywho. But besides from the gender, we actually need someone who has unnecessary puns. So we have to get Johann's robot on here.
But I feel like Joel kind of does that with his atmospheric thing. Whenever we say atmospheric perspective, he says atmospheric perspective. So that's something.
Shut your mouth.
Yeah, it got old about 20 times ago. So imagine, like, your first reaction there was you were like, oh yeah, okay, I could see that. Like, imagine that like every week for like 2 years.
But I want that dynamic that Barbara has, where it's like whenever something happens, she makes a pun, and then everyone just stops and looks at her and just goes, "God damn it, Barbara!" And it's like, I love that so much. And like, I guess we do that for Joel sometimes, but
we've just started ignoring him. Really,
Dormant is the pun guy.
Dormant's the pun guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so Dormant's the pun guy, maybe think about that, and also, but I have such a soft spot for Johann, too. Yeah. Like, we have to get Johann on here.
Dormant's more than Johann, though.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Just get him in a call, he will not stop.
I'd probably hate him.
Yeah.
Kind of people. He's the worst kind of people, but the best kind of people. Because one of my favorite people on Rooster Teeth is Barbara, whenever she makes a pun.
Right, like, they're entertaining, but you also, like, hate them afterwards.
Oh, I just love it.
But it's a lovable hate, you know what I mean?
Burned with his love-hate.
Anyhow.
All right. So yeah, basically we've got a rotating cast. I don't even know who's going to be on next week. I'm kind of given up. I'll probably be here. Maybe. Who knows? Actually, probably not. I have to go to the Pan Am games at some point. I don't know. Who knows? I'm not even going to guess me. Someone is going to be on the podcast next week. Enjoy.
It might just be me.
Just the dark.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that the one thing that we can eliminate is like it's probably not going to be just dark.
It'd be fun. Maybe
I
just dark and.
I thought you liked me.
What about just dark and just me, and then we feature like 10 Luna pieces in 1 hour?
No, that's dangerous. Just you and I together is dangerous.
That's weird. All right.
Okay. Also, we didn't even say that, well, like, 1, I'm back, but 2, I'm back from Alaska.
Yep.
And I have no clue what kind of crap you guys talked behind my back about where I went or what I was doing.
It's pretty crap.
We just,
It was
I
pretty
mean,
crap.
we just said that you went up to like visit your Alaskan children. That's all we said. Like it's just same old crap.
I figured I would have been, like, sad if you didn't re-reference the illegitimate Alaskan children.
Yeah,
compared
I
to
think
the real
Ted
base.
made some sort of joke about the moose that you took a picture with.
Yep, he did.
Took a selfie with a moose, yeah.
Did you
Yeah,
like
that-
just watch the episode from like last week, Dark? This is getting kind of
No.
creepy now. I
No,
mean, like
just remember
I appreciate it because it means that people actually listen to our show. But like, man, I've never had
Well-
someone because like as soon as we record the podcast, like we dump all of that memory like
Well, I
as
was
soon as
featured
we're
in that
done.
one, so I actually listened to it.
Well,
Oh,
Thank
there
you.
go.
that's appreciated.
all
Anyways,
we gotta
we have a
do.
show to do with the art, right?
I don't get to talk about Alaska?
Oh yeah, right. Okay,
No
yeah.
one
Talk
cares
about.
about
We're only
Alaska, friend.
8 minutes in. I got 2 more minutes.
All right, you got 2 minutes to talk about Alaska. Do you want to talk about Mr. Mississippi, or are you going to talk about other stuff?
Don't talk about that on the podcast,
All right,
alright?
yeah.
It's personal.
Just talk about other stuff.
God. Anyway,
It was Missouri anyway.
No, it was
Mississippi, Minnesota, doesn't matter.
Starts with an M.
It's somewhere,
Starts-
some M
It
state.
starts with an M for
Massachusetts?
It's one with a bunch of syllables. It doesn't matter.
Was it Maryland?
Stop embarrassing me, both of you. Anyway, so I went on a vacation to Alaska for 2 weeks. That was extremely last minute. My parents actually bought the plane ticket for me the night before they left, and they had their plane tickets for like 4 months now or something. But anywho, I went on a 2-week trip to Alaska. 4 of those days I spent at my grandmother's because I'm from Alaska, so I have a lot of family in Alaska. So I spent 4 days at my grandmother's house. We spent some time with her, which was awesome because I haven't seen her in like 10 years, 12 years.
I don't know.
Some like ridiculous amount of time.
Me.
It's a rhetorical question to myself.
He looked at me.
I don't care. It's because you're sitting next to me. All right.
Cut
Anyway,
into your story time.
so that was cool that I got to hang out with my grandmother, which was really awesome. I got some artwork from her as well. My grandmother is actually an artist. Did a lot of art in Hawaii, and she's been published a lot, which is really cool. I didn't actually know that. And then for the rest of the 2 weeks of the vacation, I went to my cabin, which is basically in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, in the middle of the Wrangell St. Alice Mountains in the National Park Reserve area.
Which is why we couldn't contact you, and we said that
Yeah.
you were dead because you didn't
so I
have
had
service.
no cell service, no nothing. Couldn't contact like the outside world. Didn't know electricity, no
Right.
like running water, none of that stuff. Cabin, middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is this middle of nowhere place called McCarthy Kennecott, and it's like a popular place for tourism because it's an old abandoned mining town in the middle of nowhere, Alaska, where they would mine a bunch like very like rich copper. That's called copper ore, calcite, and it was the most advanced and technically advanced and profitable mine in Alaska or in the world, I believe, at its time, in its prime. So it was it's this cool, crazy place because there's these 100-year-old buildings that are dilapidating, and then that town is only fueled purely on tourism nowadays. But it's way more advanced than what I remember last time I was there, like 8 years ago. But anywho, I spent the entire vacation in the middle of Alaska basically working harder than I've ever worked in a long time because I spent 4 days cutting and hauling brush away from my cabin, which like absolutely destroyed me, and then I was already sore. And then I went on a hike up a mountain, which our cabin was on, up to an old abandoned mine, which was supposed to take 7 hours, but ended up taking 12. And then I got sunburned, and then I'm still sore from that. And
So you got burned.
yeah, the joke was there.
Uh-huh.
I
I
appreciate
made it
that.
for you.
But anywho, I still had a blast, even though I still kind of hurting. But it was cool, and I survived. I'm alive. Thanks for caring.
I am alive. That's cool.
be dark. Okay, edit that
All right.
in.
Well, I guess we should move on to the art. Awkward transition. All right. So, yeah, basically, we randomized the list again, and Dark is the first one, which works out nicely because he's the guest,
Okay.
so he gets to go first to feature his art piece. So go right ahead.
I don't know how to introduce this. I'm new to this. I've never done this before.
You say I picked blank
Oh,
by
okay.
blank.
I picked At the Beginning of Time by Stacy Solitude. That's how I say it, at least.
Yeah.
It's a really cool picture from about a year ago. It has Luna and Celestia, which is a plus, obviously. I really liked the way that the brushes are applied to it. It has a really nice consistency across the whole thing. And the background, it has, like, it implies that there's really something going on there, but there's not much detail actually there. And the composition is really nice too. You go back and forth between the two over and over again. And the whole picture is just really cool to look at. I don't know. They hadn't really seen this, so I was really surprised that Bernd and Max had never seen this before, because it's a really cool picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think one of the cool things about it was that I didn't even notice that it was a Luna and Celestia piece until I really looked at it. And I think mostly the Luna side, because it doesn't have a huge amount of traditionally Luna colors. Like, there's a lot of, it's got this like dripping lava in the background, and even Luna's colors herself, especially her hair colors, are very different from what her normal one would be. It looks a lot more like her like smaller form at the beginning of season 1.
Yeah.
It's got like wispy whiter hair, and so it kind of surprised me at first. At first I said, "Oh, Dark, you didn't pick a Luna piece," and then I realized that there is Luna in this piece.
Well, it's a good example of having ambient colors change the color harmony and overriding the local color of something. Like, if you look at it, you look at the picture, and she still looks blue, but she's not blue because the picture doesn't really have much blue in it.
Yeah.
It's more of an orangish purple kind of picture. And they just tone the saturation down, which makes it kind of implied to be more blue because the main color is orange, so it looks like the complement.
Yeah, I'd still say there's a lot of blue though, like in
There
the
is
top,
some.
in like this whole top right area, like it's
Yeah.
still
But if you were to
majority
color pick
blue.
it, it's probably not very saturated.
No, but it's
Well, I
It's
think
probably-
I
it's
think what
closer
he was
to
trying to
purple,
say
probably.
was like, even though like if you really looked at it, you'd realize it's blue because a lot of the piece is this orange. Your first glance, it kind of pushes it into the background in your mind in terms of
Yeah.
importance, and then
yeah.
as you look at it more, you have that slow realization. Oh yeah, there is a lot of blue in this piece.
What Dark's kind of saying is that there's so much like orange that it makes the colors in the background seem as if they were blue when they're more violet. But I was just
Mhm.
disagreeing that
Well,
I
more
only
Luna.
I only see purple here, where I see like blue in the majority.
I mostly
Yeah.
mean with Luna. If you look at Luna, it's more that she's actually very gray. If you look at it, there's not a lot of color in her,
Yeah.
but she looks more blue because of the orange all around her.
Yeah, we talk about the saturated color a little bit, where it's like even if something's almost where it looks like very dark and void of color, it still has some amount of color in it, and it's more determined about the kind of stuff around it.
Color context. It's a really cool thing. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I noticed too, like when you do kind of get that realization and go, oh yeah, that's Luna. I still look at that and go, oh yeah, that's definitely Luna. It's cool to see Celestia's mane and tail because it's completely different from anything that we've seen. It's this fiery color that doesn't remind me anything at all.
This doesn't agree with my headcanon.
I mean, it does. I could tell it was Celestia because it's Celestia and Luna, and there's kind of the story context there, and also of course her cutie mark and Alicorn, of course.
Say there's her
Right,
butt.
but there is
but-
this different hairstyle that I don't really recognize from anything that I've seen Celestia in.
I also like how if you look at Celestia's hooves, it's like she's stepping out of the
Yeah,
lava and it's
like
kind of
she's
melting
being
off of her.
born of it almost,
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really cool. It's almost like Luna's being born of the sky and Celestia's being born of the earth, and they're meeting together, which I think is exactly what it's supposed to be, actually.
Right. I think
At the
part of it
beginning.
kind of
Yeah,
looks.
at the-
Part of it
that-
kind of
like,
looks like
that's-
Luna is like a comet coming down, and she's like, "Oh gosh, lava! No!"
That's the narrative. That's the title too. Like at the beginning of time,
Yeah.
like it's like Genesis, if you will, of the pony world. You know?
Right.
Like in the beginning, there was
Two
lava.
ponies.
On the second day, Celestia risen. Oh, this would be perfect
And like,
for our blog.
if you look and you zoom in on the background on the right and the left to Celestia's head right in the middle, you can see the brushstrokes really easily and tell they're brushstrokes. But when you zoomed out, it looks like a background.
Yeah.
and it really shows when you're in the background. You don't have to do total detail on everything.
Yeah, when you're
if you look at the
focused on a
wings-
certain point, like everything else kind of blurs in your peripherals.
Yeah, the wings and the hair are so detailed that you just don't notice the background.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, like all the little square bits.
Yeah.
I love that square brush.
Yeah.
I wish I had a square brush, but like in here too, where it's just like
Yeah,
kind
totally.
of touched, like chunked.
I mean, even up here with the comments, it's very.
I'm looking at right
vague.
below Luna's nose. You can see as well where it's just little square chunks.
Yep.
Yeah.
And right above her bum as well, and above
I mean,
her tail.
Even the lava fall on the left side, it's pretty vague. Not in a bad way. It's not over detailed.
Yeah, we're zooming in and looking at some of the vagueness, but like when you're looking at the entire piece, like Dark was saying in the very beginning, you don't really notice that because the background kind of recedes. And we've talked about that a lot as well, where it's like you put the most care and detail in the things that you want to be the focus, and then you want people to really notice. And then almost everything sort of starts to not matter, but there's still important details where it does. Like the rocks above Luna, it gives you like the impression of where they are and like the setting, and then the rock spires to the left of them that almost like start to blend into them as well. So like you kind of, even though it's just kind of blurry, messy brushstrokes in the background and then like dark blues on the right hand side, you already kind of understand where they are, you know.
And as far as the composition, it feels a lot like a Renaissance kind of composition to me. If you look, there's like this exchange between the two of them, and then a lot of the rocks kind of point down and in toward them, except the ones below, which kind of flow up towards Celestia. And you get this very central composition with everything kind of pointing back to the focus, which is really cool.
Well, and there is
fancy on
kind of
here.
like a theme when it comes to where things are pointed in this piece. The comets, the rocks, the hair, it's all kind of on this diagonal angle that's all going in the same direction.
Toward the center, yeah.
Dark's showing me up here, pulling in the Renaissance inspiration.
So we're gonna take this from like Renaissance and like, ooh, look at me, I've got so much knowledge, to like me talking about horns. But like, look at these dang pony horns. Doesn't Luna's look so short? But that might just be perspective. And look at Celestia's.
foreshortening,
It's
yeah.
so long. Lol.
It's the foreshortening.
But it's definitely foreshortened because her head's turned.
Well,
at,
and you
like,
can
that
see the
3/4
rings
angle.
too.
But it still looks cuter too when it's short. And she is smaller than Celestia.
Well, I mean,
And, like,
Luna
you
is
could,
cuter, so...
You could say that she's like all farther up and farther away. Yeah, there you go.
This show has no
Celestia's
personal
the younger sister. So in this one, if it's the beginning of the time, so Celestia was born first, and you think Luna was born of Celestia, you know, like kind of like.
Are they
type
like
of thing,
twins
or-
where they're like, I'm 2 minutes older than you, I'm the older sibling.
Sassy sisters.
Sassy sisters.
No, this is really great though. I think this is one of the like probably the nicest piece in like Stacy Solitude's gallery. Like, don't mean that as a bad thing. It's just I really enjoy this piece, and there's a lot of work.
Well,
into this.
we've
It's really
talked
cool.
about certain art pieces before where we'll look at someone's gallery and we'll go, there's potential here, and then they'll have kind of like a breakout piece. And I
Yeah.
feel like this might be or one of Stacy Solitude's breakout pieces, you know, something that stands out from the gallery. And that's not supposed to be some sort of bad mark on the rest of her work. It's just like taking things to the next level. And I think this is a great example of kind of a breakout piece, even though it came a year ago. Like it shows a certain depth and skill that you might not always get to see because you might not always spend the same amount of time on each art piece.
There's a big depth in narrative there, but I didn't really look through Stacy Solitude's gallery that much, and I'm looking at a few pieces, and there's actually some really well rendered pieces in there. Maybe not so much in the narrative, but just like in how they're rendered digitally, they're actually like very much more finite.
But remember, this is a year old, right? So this could have been a breakthrough that
Yeah,
has
it
then
was-
led to a lot of the stuff that you're seeing in her gallery.
I want to know when this piece was made. I really like this piece. March 13th. Okay, there's a new piece called Stars Are Not What They Seem. I'm not going to put it on the screen. You guys have to go see it.
Lazy!
You guys should all go to this Stacy Solitude's gallery. There's actually some really pretty stuff. Fine, I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah!
It's like a female Discord kind of.
Yeah.
Eris.
is the name, yeah.
Very cute. Very cute.
With an anglerfish. Yeah.
The top hat. Mr. Anglerfish, I'll have you know.
Anglerfish.
My anglerfish.
That's funny. That's funny.
Oh, that's a fedora. It's different. Top hats
Close
are
enough.
classy. How dare you?
All right. Shall we
Wait,
move on to the next piece?
Before we move on, we mentioned how like their kind of hair is like intertwined and like bonding, right?
No, we
Or
didn't.
like, I just kind of wanted to throw that out there. I really like the fact that that's how I'm getting this thing is like, oh, like Luna's born of Celestia, whatever. This kind of in the beginning of time Genesis narratives going on. Like both of their manes are, or like I guess Luna's tail and mane and Celestia's big flowing fiery mane they're like actually kind of intertwined and one with each other,
Mhm.
which creates this like yin and yang kind of duality going on.
Right.
And I like that the most about the kind of how the characters are illustrated, how they're kind of like bound together.
Mhm.
Been here.
All right. Next one's yours, Burned.
Bam. Dizzle. So the piece I chose for this week is called If It Would Load. Sorry, my Chrome.
That's an odd name, Burned. Ha! Have I ever mentioned how funny I am?
Fart freak apples. Oh.
I mean,
What?
I can tell you the name. It's called
Doesn't
Ripe
give the
Apples by
URL.
Halevi.
So our URL says this is by F. Holloway, and the name of the piece is Two Fart, Two Fripe Apples.
What?
I have no
Take a
clue.
screenshot. Take a
Oh,
screenshot.
because it's F art, so it made it
No.
fart, right?
Yeah, because the space characters are replaced by some other characters in the URL.
Anyway, anywho, oh my. So
Take a
the
screenshot.
piece- I can't. It's gone.
Oh.
So the piece I chose for this week is called Ripe Apples by Holloway.
Well, if you're talking about farting, then they must have been really ripe.
It was art with an F, alright?
Fart.
Not far off.
Fan art?
Artsy fartsy. Anyway, beautiful piece. I love Holloway and love her work,
It's cute.
and
It's very
it's
cute.
wonderful.
Super cute. And you know what? Like, I'm not even a huge fan of the CMC, but this is adorable. Look at
How
this
can you
tiny
not be?
horse.
How can you not be a fan of the CMC? Look at your name.
I know, right?
I mean, that's kind of irrelevant. I was just because it's a good pun.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
I'm infatuated with CMC and like their symbol. Like
Mm-hmm.
whenever I go to conventions, I always buy like the Cutie Art Crusader like shield and stuff.
They have a
So
good. They have a good symbol.
It is good.
look on my tie and stuff, and
They
so
had a
it's
good
like
designer.
I'm basically the CA or CMC, right?
We needed
I'm
like
basically
we
part
should
of
have
the
like
club.
3 years ago like made our logo. I mean, we made our logo and stuff based on like the clubhouse theme, but we needed to get like the logos from the capes as well, and had done
It's not
something
too
with that.
late.
Oh well. This is
I
cute.
really want to. I mean, wearing a vest is a big step from wearing a thing.
Well, you are.
I don't know. Anywho, I really like this piece. I think it's pretty. I think the colors are, I guess, probably my favorite part about it. It's like the red and greens, like complements, and also the shadow that the characters are put in, and then like the apples are put in, where it's like their kind of shadow and like in shadow and forced into the foreground, where like everything else is kind of like bright and cheerier yellows and greens is in the background behind them. And then they're like silhouetted with very bright colors. And then it's really rough, kind of like almost like just really rough painting, like digitally too. And I'm a sucker for that.
Yeah. I mean,
I really like the way the hair is rendered. It's really nice.
mhm. Yeah, I wanted to touch on the fact that you just mentioned that they're in shadows, and you know the point that I keep trying to hammer home is like, don't be afraid to place your characters in the shadows. You know, like if you make every single piece that you have, like your pony is front and center, and it's always like lit from the front and all that kind of stuff, then you're never gonna learn, and you can make some really awesome art that might put your characters in like a deeper shadow, but it comes out better as an art piece as a whole. This is a great example of that.
Yeah. Or like it makes it much more dynamic, also unique. 'Cause it's always like, how can I illustrate something to make it unique to other things?
Mhm.
And like forcing your characters kind of in the foreground shadow is like a good way to do that. Also a nice little touch that may go unnoticed because some people may just see it as, you know, color and like rendering the characters. But there's reflective lighting on the bottom of Applejack and Apple Bloom in like a bright kind of green, which changes between the colors because Apple Bloom. Apple Bloom
All right, that is the
yellow.
name of this episode. It's Apple Blam with Dark Flame.
Apple Blams. Apple Blam and Dark Flame. This is gonna be
Apple Blam
Flame.
and Dark Flame.
Dark Flame.
Dark
Alright.
Flame. All right. Anywho, there's reflective lighting on the bottom of her, which is kind of like a really nice, like yellowy green, and there's reflective lighting on the bottom of Applejack, which is kind of like a more subtle, like orange. But it's a very nice touch, and that's like. It's one of the more advanced parts of lighting where it's like when you take that step as an artist to try to like recognize what reflective lighting would be off things in the background or around in the environment your characters are in, like, and then you can like we can pick up on that. That's like a whole nother level that brings the things that I appreciate so much to this. And even like in Applejack's tail, I just noticed too, there's like green hitting her little tail bun.
And it's made very believable because if you look in the midground at the grass, it's almost pure white because there's so much light cast on that grass. You really believe that there's enough light to cast that reflected light on them.
Yeah, it definitely, without showing the light source, it gives you kind of context to where the light source is, and it's kind of like reinforcing the direction of the light. You have the characters, which kind of tell you, oh, okay, the light's probably behind them, but then you got the grass too, and it kind of reinforces that belief of, okay, the light really is behind them, and it casts these reflective shadows and things like that. So it's a really interesting and well lit piece. It's probably the strongest point of this entire piece is how incredibly lit it is.
If you look really closely at the top planes in their hair, you can actually see there's a bit of a cool color there from the sky reflection too, which is a nice touch.
That is cool. That is cool.
One thing I wanted to point out that's pretty interesting is I'm sure everyone knows about, value front to back. It's darker in the front and all that.
Street they know about value.
But there's another thing that's not talked about as much, which is that things that are closer, as a rule of thumb, not always, as a rule of thumb, things that are closer are warmer and things that are farther are cooler. And if you look here, this is a perfect example of that. The grass in the foreground is a lot warmer than the trees in the background.
Right, even though they're supposed to be similar colors in general.
Yep. And you can kind of put, I guess it's not pseudoscience, but you can kind of put somewhat of science behind that as well. We touched on this very slightly in our value episode way back when. But what is it? The warm colors and warm light on the spectrum, its wavelengths are shorter, I believe.
Forget which one it is.
I believe they're shorter, more packed together, and so they seem closer because of that, or because they more drawn out, so they hit you quicker.
The cooler colors on the spectrum are scattered more by the air because their wavelength is a little different, so they scattered more.
Yeah.
So they kind of just diffuse away instead of actually hitting your eyes, whereas the red gets to you a little bit more.
Yeah, that's right. That's correct. Mm-hmm. And you can look at this. There's a bunch of fancy charts. I tried putting it on the episode way back when that shows kind of like how the wavelengths work. But there's sciencey stuff behind it, which makes it cool. I'm just not smart enough to understand it.
It's the same reason the sky's blue, basically.
Basically, yeah, because the blue can pierce through the atmosphere and keep going, or whatever, or something. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
I don't remember exactly either.
You can Google it. We're dumb.
Did you know?
But there's cool stuff.
Did you know? Fun fact that it is a similar reasoning to why, like the sky being blue and why the sky is blue. There's a similar kind of science behind why eyes are blue as well, or why blue eyes appear as blue. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting, and people should go look it up. I'm not going to try and explain it exactly because I haven't looked it up in 6 months, so I'm just going to end up sounding like an idiot.
Your eyes blue? Let me see your eyes. We stare into your eyes. Mine are blue too.
Blue? Oh my god, dark. Kiss me.
Jesus.
So there's also there's also the same reason why kind of arms, or what is it? Your veins in your arm appear blue as well. So I'm looking at my arm right now.
Yeah.
But the skin gets in the way of the blood in your veins or whatever. Like your blood's not actually blue.
No, it's not.
That is
your blood is red.
Stupidest myth that people came up with.
Yeah, it's people are like, oh, your blood's blue
before
and it's not
and then it touches the air. No,
it's red, but your skin is in the way, and the red color from your blood can't pierce through your skin. Only the blue light comes through.
Right, not as much as the red can go through.
Because it can break through your skin because of the spectrums in science and physics. I'm done.
Anyways, this is a very cute piece of apple blam and apple jam.
Apple jam.
And I think Olivia should be very proud, although I'm pretty sure Olivia already knows that, right? Because they make really awesome stuff, and it's all of their stuff is good.
Olivia, love me. I love you.
I mean, she's Russian, so I'm not even sure if she speaks English. Probably she does.
She signs it Holly. Yeah,
it's
the
cute.
description says, I love the scenes of everyday life. In English, mind you.
Well, translation stuff.
Does it matter?
I'd like to point out that I really like the signature while you were talking about the signature. It's very subtle, great way of putting a signature in a piece.
Yeah. Yep. Also, more things. I'm not done talking about this.
Whoa! Okay. Let's do this.
Same kind of thing we're talking about. Warm comes forward, blah blah. Another thing that Jordana mentioned in our lighting episode is that when there's warm light, it will usually cast kind of cool shadows. One to create a duality, and one just be when there's warm light, it makes things around it seem cooler. Mm-hmm. Things that are in the shadow. So Apple Bloom and Applejack are actually shaded in a bit more cool colors, and there's some violets and darker reds in Applejack's shading that I really like. Around in her neck and then in her body too. You can notice there's yellow on top of her, and then it goes to almost like a violet, and then an orange, and then that reflective lighting. And I enjoy I enjoy that a lot as well. Because Holly is amazing and she does everything perfect because this is beautiful. And also in Applejack's hat too, do you notice that there's like this kind of like scratchy shading almost? Where I don't know if that's a brush or if Holly actually went in and like made multiple lines and like scratched it like on a tablet.
Doesn't look like a brush to me.
Well, like it's also here and there and there and
Her
here. Like,
eye.
so if you look on Applejack's flank and then Applejack's thigh and on her stomach as
And
well.
her eye.
And in her eye and everywhere, there's kind of like these really scratchy marks put on in like kind of a contrasting color over another color. So it kind of creates an interesting little duality.
Yeah.
And apples and everywhere
Yeah.
as
I
well.
wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't necessarily like a brush, but more of like just a technique that's used.
Well, it's hatching. It's just like a basic brush, then multiple strokes or striations made in like a pattern or in going at the same angle. But it's used a lot in a lot of places, and it is like more seemingly random, like done by hand, like in the eye as well. It kind of shows the curvature of the eye.
Right.
But it's a nice touch, and I like that it's left there because it creates like a texture, and texture creates tangibility slightly. You know, like it gives it like a feeling or a surface.
Imperfections, which lead to stuff that we talked
Yeah,
about before.
and there is an actual kind of brush used in the background in the leaves
Yeah.
that makes it look almost like paint spongy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I enjoy all that as well because we were just talking. I just mentioned textures, but multiple textures also give something more dynamicness. Because
Yeah, as opposed to one texture
Dynamism.
that you put like over the
The word
entire
is
piece for
dynamism.
sure.
Dynamism. How about
Diamondism.
Dyn-
Damn it, you got me saying
Dynamicanism.
Apple blam.
All right, moving.
Well, no, actually,
forwards.
there's one other thing I wanted to say. Back to what
go
you were
for it.
saying with the colors and the lighting and the shadow.
Mhm.
There's another reason that the colors are usually cooler outside. In an outdoor scene like this, you actually have two light sources. You have the sun, obviously, and the sky itself is a light source too. And the sky is blue, so it's a blue light. Because the thing is, all the light goes in the sky and it reflects and refracts and
So
it
cool
comes
light
back
versus
down.
a warm light.
Yeah.
Warm light.
So you get the warm light from the sun and the cool light from the sky all around. So anywhere that the sun isn't hitting, the sky lights it up with the cool color.
Yeah.
A little bit, not as much as the sun, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's why like it isn't like pitch black in
Yeah,
shadows.
exactly.
You could say you can see that in areas in like Applejack's hat is where like I see that the touch the most.
Apple jam.
You know?
Well, it really, all the ambient light is pretty much that. Some of the violet stuff is being filtered through the tree, so it gets a little bit more warm because of that. But
Well, you
in
can call
general,
it
it's all
that.
coming from the sky.
You could call it that, but it also could just be the artist wanting to put violet
Oh, of
in
course,
a horse.
But I'm
which-
saying it is correct too. It's actually like that's how it would work. So that's
Physics!
explains why.
Yeah.
I mean, physics might
I
be
don't
a
know
stretch
if
there, but yeah. Anyways,
There's another piece that I'm probably going to feature next week by Holly.
don't spoil things, Burns.
Shh.
No spoilerinos.
All right, I'm done.
All right. So the next piece is mine, and it's the last piece for today, and it's called Lunar Tides, Patreon, blah, 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 by Hululu, and it's a wonderful little Luna piece where she's sitting on some sort of rock, or maybe, I don't know, there's clouds there too, and looking out over the ocean or the sea or whatever, and up into the stars. And it's a very nice piece. I like the I'm going to use the incorrect term here, and it just reminds me a little bit of kind of like a manga style in a way, or cartoony in a way. I like that kind of style. It's got big outlines. It's got like saturated colors that aren't necessarily like textured or to show the definition of the hair. And I just like that style. I really enjoy that.
Hallelujah. Yeah, Dark. You'll have to correct me because like I don't technically understand the two descriptions, but I sort of do. Like I would say this piece is more an illustrated or illustrative piece, where the other two pieces we featured are a bit more artsy.
I mean,
Where you can
technically
say
they're
that,
all
but I don't know
illustration,
the actual definition between illustration and artsy.
I don't know
or art.
exactly either, but it has something to do with like if it's made for commercial stuff, it's illustration, I think, and if it's like just made for art, it's fine art. I don't quite understand.
Well,
it
like
myself,
not so
but-
much in like the super definition perfect of like art versus like professional illustrativeness or illustrations.
enough.
I just mean like if you are to illustrate something with more like care into line work and like kind of that style, you know, that animation or anime or manga leads to, versus something that's more painterly, I guess is a better word to use
Yeah.
than art, because I would say it's all art.
Yeah.
So like this one, I would say it is more illustrated and drawn, with more, you know, those flat colors and like gradients, on like more perfectly outlined characters, you know, where it leads to that style, versus something like the last two pieces where like the brushwork was extremely visible, where in this one it's hidden, you know, and it's kind of like a more perfect color and brush.
Yeah, there's a lot more
stuff.
Drawing than painting in this picture, which is fine. That's not a bad thing at all. That's just another way of doing it.
It's the different style, which Max, you said you kind of lean towards too, because this is really pretty.
I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I lean towards it, but I definitely enjoy it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I agree. I like this kind of stuff too. Like, it brings up another artist to mind, Space Kid. Like, all of his stuff is kind of the same kind of, you know, illustrated thing. Yeah. And like, I love like a lot of his work. But I'm also a sucker for paintings too, which is why I featured the Holivy thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's going to be confusing with Holivy and Hululu in the same episode.
I know, right? You already got confused before we even started.
It's true. So we did end up having 2 out of the 3 pieces include Luna, but welcome to the internet. There's a lot of Luna pieces.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about making this episode like kind of a joke thing, but I didn't want to go with it where all the pieces we featured in this episode would be Luna, since DarkFlame is joining us. But
it's pretty close.
I figured we'd just feature pieces that we enjoy.
Feature peaches?
All the peaches.
Peaches with DarkFlame.
Peaches for free.
Free peaches.
Anywho.
Come to our panel.
Stuff about Peaches for everyone.
I wanted to mention, if you look at Luna's hoof, the front hoof that's showing, you actually see more of that hatching that we talked about with the previous one.
Okay, hold on, I gotta scroll that.
It's pretty subtle, but
no,
and on the wing too.
But it's hand hatching, so it's like it's hand hatching.
Hand hatching.
It's hatching done by hand, not with a brush or some other technique. Right. Gotcha.
Yep.
Pretty colors.
I like
violets, blues, and pinks.
I want that as my
like I've told people before, and I still hold. I enjoy. I believe the term is analogous colors. I enjoy pieces that contain like only analogous colors, like only the colors that are close together on the color spectrum. It's just something that I really like when people work with that. And so this is a great example of something where it's like the only colors in this piece, really, with a couple of exceptions, are like in between pink and like blue, you know, and just kind of stays right in there.
Which is a pretty sizable amount of the color wheel, so it's not like they're restricting themselves too much. It's a good quarter or so.
Right, yeah, but like a quarter is still like a very small amount compared to like having, like, there's no standout parts that like use like the opposite side, you know, like there's no oranges in it. There's a very slight orangey tinge on the rock, but I would say that's probably just because of the surrounding colors.
Yeah, it's more gray, and it kind of shows as orange because of the blue, like we talked about earlier.
Exactly. So it shows up as orange, but it's not necessarily orange just because it's surrounded by so much blue.
I could say you could maybe color drop that and it would be orange, but it would also be because if you have a gray and like put pink over it, like digitally it will create or whatever. I'm not going to do that too much.
I want to know.
Too bad!
I will color drop it. You guys keep talking about it.
I wanted to say also, it's really cool because this whole picture obviously is very water themed, and if you look at her mane, you see the dots in it, which are obviously supposed to be stars, but they kind of seem like bubbles too. So it makes her hair almost be like water around her head, but it's not like weird. It looks still a lot like Luna's mane normally does too. And I like that.
Okay, so the color is in fact pink or like purpley, but it just looks orange.
What's the saturation on it?
16%.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah. But yes, it is actually within the spectrum of colors.
So it is still a purple pink, but it just appears orange.
Yeah,
and
because of the surrounding colors. Yeah,
it's diddling with my noggin.
I'm gonna try and get a screenshot to you, Burn, so you can see exactly. I did
it.
He did it on here. I saw it.
I'm gonna get you.
But if you want to
anyways.
grab a screenshot of it, I'll use it. Anywho, more cool stuff about this. I do like the waviness and the wateriness.
I do like the wateriness as well.
But something that kind of caught me as interesting is if you notice, it's the lines are done in kind of like a deep blue. But there's one spot on Luna's ear, her left ear, where it's just a black line. And that black line catches me, like kind of catches my eye versus everything else. And I feel like it's done intentionally. But I don't know what that does other than catch my eye, but I actually kind of like it, where it's just kind of pure black and it kind of stands out from everything else. It looks
unintentional, I think.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's unintentional or intentional. Like, we technically never know unless we ask the artist. But even it's like a happy mistake, even if it is unintentional. I actually enjoy it. and it's just like it stands out from everything else in the piece, and so it just kind of caught me. So I want to point it out.
It's kind of randomly black, isn't it?
Yeah. And if you zoom in, you can kind of see a hard line right there. So
Yeah. So it could for some. I guess I can describe how a lot of artists will. Wow,
Yep.
English is hard.
Go on.
I would like to describe for our viewers who don't know what goes into like making or illustrating a common technique that artists will use to color line art is they will just draw it in black or whatever color they're drawing, and then they'll put that on a single layer, and then they'll create a clipping layer on top of that, and then they'll paint on that layer, and then whatever they paint on that layer only shows on their line art.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's how a lot of artists will color their line art, and so it could have just been that the artist forgot to color that little part of the stroke on the ear,
I've done that before.
or the artist could have left that there because they liked how it looked, since it makes the ear kind of stand out from the cloud.
Yeah, they could have. It could have been a combination, right? Like the artist could have
'cause
done it
it's-
by accident and then looked back on it and said, "No, actually, I do like that."
It's also
Yeah.
technically the only part of Luna besides her horn that's kind of hitting that specific cloud and like touching and contrasting against that color. So maybe it just looked better as like a darker black. But
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. We'll never know. We just know it's there, and I like that it's there. So
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to touch a little bit. You talked before, you like the wateriness of it. I really enjoyed the depiction of water in this piece. It's got, it doesn't have like the white caps and you're not seeing huge waves or something, but it's got a certain undulation to it, and it's got the kind of highlights, the little specks in there that kind of give the water a little bit more than just, here's the blue sheet of water. It looks like the sky, but it's on the ground, therefore it's water,
Yeah.
you know?
In a weird way, it kind of reminds me of Ponyo. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I've heard the name.
The Ghibli film.
I know it's a Studio
Yeah.
Ghibli thing. I don't think I've actually seen that one. I've been catching up on a lot of them.
I'm not really sure why it reminds me, other than the water, obviously. But it's just, it's about the girl that is a fish too and stuff. But for some reason, it gives me a very familiar feeling to that movie.
Well, like I sort of remember that movie, but the point of that movie was a lot of the things that were illustrated was that duality of things seemed very liquidy and watery, and the character and all this sort of. So it's the artwork kind of depicted the watery narrative that they wanted. So like the same thing kind of happens in this. And speaking of watery narratives, this piece gives me a huge little I almost said My Little Mermaid. A huge Little Mermaid feeling, doesn't it? Doesn't it? It looks
My
like
Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Wow.
It looks like the Little Mermaid, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Is it Little Mermaid or is it
I could
just-
see
It's Little Mermaid,
yeah.
right?
I'm
Yes.
just laughing at you, the My Little Mermaid.
No, I can
Whatever.
get that vibe. You know, I wouldn't even
Because
say
it's sitting
like
on a rock and there's not like the wave and like
I wouldn't even say like
eh.
necessarily
Yeah, I can
that
see
it
that.
was specifically that franchise. I would say that I get a big mermaid kind of vibe. You know, the
Just
original.
more generic
I mean,
phrase.
you
Well,
can't see her back legs. You don't know.
It's true. She could be a merpone.
That tail could be her tail
Yeah,
instead of
like-
hair.
like I
tail.
mean, the
this is how I
original,
swim.
the original I believe the original like usage of mermaid was like mermaids were like sirens, right? They were to lure people out at sea and get them to crash and then I don't know, eat their souls or something. I don't know.
Dark is she luring you in?
Yeah. so like, you know,
No idea.
this reminds me more of kind of this concept of the original mermaid, not the luring in and eating them or anything like that, but like the whole like there's just this mysterious like half woman like creature thing on a rock in the middle of the ocean, you know, and it's kind of like, ooh,
Yeah.
what's this mystery, you know, and it's got long flowing hair. Like that reminds me a lot of that. So I'm not surprised
Well,
that
you could
you
even say
would
like
would remind me of
ponies are somewhat analogous with that as well because they're kind of anthropomorphized ponies with human characteristics and personalities. You
used
know.
up all your words on that one.
Yeah, no, I used up my dictionary. I ran out
Yeah.
of my thesaurus.
Yeah.
I also wanted to say that based on the title of the picture, it kind of brings up a good point about Luna, is that the moon is important to the tides on Earth, so it makes sense for her to be kind of linked to the ocean. And you can see with the way that her hair is kind of flowing up toward the sky, you can almost pretend like the moon is pulling her water hair up or something like that.
Yeah, and her hair does
To
look
ascend,
very watery.
she's like lapis.
I wasn't gonna make that reference. I wasn't gonna make that reference, friend.
I made
This is
that
not
just
what
for
this
you.
podcast is
Just
about.
for you.
All right. Well, that was weird. Anyways, we do have to move on to the questions. So does anybody have any kind of last thoughts
Hold
or
on.
things?
You
about
don't see the My Little Mermaid thing? Like, you know that scene, right? Like, you didn't
I
even
see
mention,
it.
like, there's that one scene where she's on the rock and there's like the
I
wave
see
and the
it.
thing
Yes,
and it's like a
yes,
constant
yeah,
picture.
And
Yes.
it looks like the same picture from behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
Okay, thank
I
you.
do.
That's all I
Don't worry.
wanted. I just wanted
Shoo-be-doo,
the confirmation.
I saw it.
Pat me on the head and
I
call
just
me a
didn't
good
find
boy.
it worth entertaining, so I didn't say anything.
I hate you.
Shoo-be-doo, shoo-be-doo.
Shut your mouth.
All right.
Hate merponies.
Okay. Jeez, wow. Racist?
Sorry.
Especially if they're green. All right. So we should
By the way,
move on.
Dawnfire agrees with me that green is a gross color.
Well, I'm gonna
Green's
have to
not a
have a talk
creative
with her
color.
because
Yeah,
she's
see?
wrong.
See?
Wait, you got that reference, right?
Green's a gross color?
No, not a creative color.
Nuh-uh.
Max, you get that reference,
No,
right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, you guys disappoint me so much.
Just tell us the reference, and
no,
I might.
I'll have to show you after. It's not exactly fitting, so I'll show you.
Well,
after.
sucks to be everyone listening to this show. Thanks,
You'll
DarkFlame.
find it if you Google it. Just be warned.
All right.
Google
cool.
green's not a creative color, but be warned because Dark's into some weird stuff
It's from
on the internet.
It's from something called "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared."
Okay. I have no idea what you're talking about then, and I'm kind of
Okay.
glad now that you've mentioned it that I have no idea what you're talking about then. Anyways, let's move on to the question before we talk about weird dark stuff anymore. All right. So I'll do the questions because Joel's not here, probably dead. That's not
True.
very nice. He's in Bali. He might be. Hey!
You never told me where
Bali.
Bali is!
It's in Indonesia.
You have Google.
Okay,
Burned.
thank you.
You have Google right in
But
front
then
of you.
I would make typing noises and I wouldn't want to do
Now
that.
you're doing it anyways. You know what burned? You know what burned?
I worry about him sometimes.
Burned, I missed you, burned. The podcast is so boring without you. Holy cow.
So good.
Oh, I missed you. Anyways. All right, so we've got 2 questions that came in today. And the first one is...
Oh, I accidentally typed all that in our document.
You did! You changed the title! All right.
I fixed it.
So, the first question is from Anonymous. So, the person didn't list a name. Which is, by the way, is our last anonymous question. We're actually getting quite low on questions. We've only got like 30 left. So.
Anon, we need more questions,
Yeah.
please.
Anyways, Anon asks, Fallout Equestria, yay or nay? So, apparently Dark's got a big rant, which I'm going to tell him he can't talk
No,
about.
I'm not going to. I don't want
That's
to.
But you can talk about like it in general. So, do you want to... I'm going to let you go
This
first.
is,
liked-
this is your one opportunity you get to be on a soapbox to tell everyone what you think about Fallout Equestria.
I liked most of it, but I hated the ending.
Okay.
I'll stop at
So
that.
you've read the entirety of it then?
Yes, the original fic, yes.
Right. Okay, is there like
And-
extra stuff so
but not the weird, like, Spawn
here's
fix
like
off.
here's
Right,
like
none of them.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna basically have answered this already by revealing this, but like Burned and I haven't read it, so that's why
Okay.
I'm curious. Like, what's this extra stuff you're talking about? Is it just like
You mean-
fanfics on top of fanfics?
Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't know? Oh, yeah. Fallout Equestria is huge. There are so many spin-off fanfics. So
Okay.
many. Like, Equestria Daily has a post they update every month, I think, with dozens of new fanfics based off of it.
Splinter
It's a
fanfiction.
huge thing.
Okay, but
Yeah.
the original was written by like a certain person.
Yeah, by, what was her name? I forget her name. Something with a cat. I don't remember. Anyway,
And
it's good.
right,
never read it,
and
so
that
it
person
won't.
only wrote that one like original one, right?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you liked
but yeah.
you liked it, but you didn't like the ending.
I liked a lot of things about it up until the last 5 chapters or something, when season 2 started to come out, and then I didn't like it as much. But it was still worth reading, so
Okay.
I still recommend it.
Cool. Well,
Was it kind of like you've seen Fullmetal Alchemist, right?
Yeah.
What about Brotherhood?
Yeah, well, I read the manga first. So,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, but yeah. So what is it? But you've seen the original Fullmetal
Yeah.
Alchemist, that one.
Mhm.
Was it anything like similar to that, where it was like good stuff, and then where the manga wasn't written and just kind of splintered into weirdness, or
Not
was it
really.
just like you just didn't like the turn in which the ending went? Was
It's
it like too
that
depressing,
and
or
it's that and the fact that it kind of didn't make sense, and the fact that it turned into references to season 2 everywhere as soon as season 2 started airing.
okay?
oh,
so
okay. So they tried
And,
to
like,
tie it in and be
Did-
like,
what-
look,
did
we're
it get,
getting...
like jump? Did
And
it
the
get,
fact that the ending, the whole reason everything happened was just
Whoa,
a
no,
dumb
no, no, whoa,
pun.
whoa, 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 whoa! We're
A
not gonna
dumb pun from season 1.
we're not
That was
gonna
it.
we're not gonna spoil Fallout
No.
Equestria on this show. People would kill
I'm not
us.
gonna say what it was, but there's something from season 1 that's just like, really, it was all that? Okay. Anyway, I'm done now.
That's
Move
already
on.
kind of delving into more spoiler territory than I'd like to let
No,
on,
like
so.
I'm extremely curious because it's like
Maybe you
I'll
should
tell
read
you
it then,
afterward,
Bernd.
Since I've never
tell you
because I
afterward,
don't want to
Bernd.
read it. I just want to know the drama surrounding it.
No,
or
no, okay.
There's no
dislikes.
drama, it's just my opinion.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna assume, based on
It's
your reaction,
opinions.
Bernd,
Do not presume.
that despite you not reading it, you were saying nay because you don't plan on reading it.
Well, I don't read hardly any fan fiction.
Right.
Is the thing. Like I'm not an avid reader in itself. So
Right.
like I'm probably not going to go on my way to read something that I already know is exorbitantly long
It's huge.
when I barely have enough time to draw myself, which is what I'm more interested in doing
Okay.
currently. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I
read the whole
for-
thing in a week.
For me personally, I've never read Fallout Equestria.
is that like
and
a
I don't
fast or something?
I don't ever plan on reading Fallout Equestria either. See, the thing is, like, I just am not, like, there are certain franchises that people, like, really grab onto, and that's cool and everything, but I don't necessarily always grab on with other people. Like, a good example is, like, Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. Like, I both enjoyed those movies, and I thought that they were pretty cool, but I've never been, like, a huge, like, Star Wars or Lord of the Rings junkie, and I don't remember a lot about them, honestly. And so I feel like Fallout's kind of the same thing, and like I never really got into the games too much, so I was like, oh, okay, this is like a cool concept, and I kind of like the story idea, but I was never into it enough to be like, man, I really want to cross over between the two, so yeah.
I will say that after I finished reading the fic, I really wanted Fallout 4 to have a better story because I really saw how good it could be. So, that's all I'll say.
Right. Yeah, so I don't really know. I've never had the motivation to really read it. I wouldn't be against reading it, but it is kind of always intimidating to get into a big series. Yeah. I think you know what might motivate me to actually read it if I got like a hard copy of it. I hate reading on a computer. I like reading like more traditional books if I am going to read.
I don't think it would fit in one volume. I think that would be at least like 3 volumes.
I mean, I don't care.
It's long.
Like I've read like huge series before, but like getting it in physical copy so I can read it like, you know, before I go to bed or something. Like I feel like I would be much more inclined to do that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Anyways, good question. And the second, I'm glad that we could actually have someone who read it because I know the other two haven't read it. And the second question is, if you suddenly got teleported to Equestria and landed in front of your OC, what would the two of you do after you explained everything and calmed down?
We would make out super hard.
All right. Well, I was gonna say I'm pretty sure you've had a similar question like this before, or maybe we just keep avoiding the question. Or maybe we just keep avoiding the question because I don't know. Bernd would just lean into the microphone and talk about him making out super hard with his pony.
we made the joke before the podcast and we picked this question. I was gonna say that. So
yeah,
it's a joke. That out of the way.
Good joke, Bernd. So here,
thanks, Max.
Here's the thing, right? And DarkFlame doesn't know this, right?
Like myself. I'll have you know I'm a good kisser.
Look, shut up.
As he's leaning toward my face, I'm getting a little worried here.
Okay, so here's the deal, right? DarkFlame doesn't know. Well, actually, he does because he listens to the podcast. But you know that, like, secretly, after all these years, we figured out that Bernd was in fact a horse.
Mm-hmm.
Like we know this. This is a fact now, right? So
you didn't know that right away.
Exactly.
Just look at him.
Right. So like, the thing is, right? If this happens, it would just be 2 Bernd horses. Yeah. That's it. So, like, this isn't a weird thing.
See? But it's the alternate reality. So, in Equestria, my OC is secretly a man.
Oh, you secretly, like...
Secretly human.
I see. And you're both, like, wearing your costumes.
Everyone always gives them crap.
I think the funny thing is, you're both, like, wearing your quote-unquote costumes or whatever in order to, like, blend in, and you're both, like, critiquing each other's costumes, like, no. Like, Bernd as a horse doesn't look anything like this, you know? Like...
So, wait, which is the original?
I mean, it's alternate universes. There is no original.
But like, if one is the human but pretending to be the pony, and the other's, which one's the real one?
Right,
How do you know?
They might have swapped like years ago, is what you're saying. Oh, I see. Yeah,
I'm confused.
I'm on board with this. Bernd,
who am I anymore?
Bernd has actually got a portal to Equestria, and he swapped years ago. I knew it. I knew it all this time. I mean. Dark, do you have an answer to this question?
Yeah, I do actually. Well, first, after we figured out that, this happened, there probably wouldn't be any words exchanged. We'd just turn around and find Luna.
So there's preface it to this
Yeah.
because our dark little known fact, besides your Ask blog, Student of the Night, you actually have an OC that you use, and it has a name, correct?
Yeah.
Care to tell our audience?
Well, it's a maybe name. The name that I might stick with is Anselinia, which means not in the moonlight.
Right.
So it's a senpai will never notice. It
Senpai will never notice. Oh my god. That's kind of sad.
It's too good.
Okay, yeah, but so it's a girl pwn, right?
You could always
So
you could have a spin on that name too, like Anceline.
Yeah, it's a similar situation to me where it's like I have a unicorn pony, so I'd probably just get her to do like a bunch of magic and like be amazed by that.
Oh, magic. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you not agree that meeting a fantastical equestrian pony would not be magical?
Make me fly!
Oh yeah, it'd be very magical.
Yeah, magical experience. Tingly even.
No, that's actually a great point, Bird. I'd probably see if I could get her to like make me fly, right? Like that would be that's a huge fantasy for a lot of people, right?
Yeah, this is
You
fun.
just wanna ride.
We have fun here.
You just want to ride.
This is a good podcast. PG-13.
I hate you both.
That's why you can't have them right next to each other.
The worst part is I've been telling
this is why we can't do the podcast alone.
Like, this is-
on a serious note, no, I agree with you. Like that'd be awesome. You're just like MOC. Like I know you do crazy magic stuff. Like let's go do some crazy magical stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I would say you would grab hands, but you would grab hand and hoof, and then you'd go skipping down a field.
Well, and you would probably get like
you
a
just grab
ride
yours and
around
ride
on your
around.
pony, like
well,
you'd fly.
ponies
through
are
the air.
smaller than people, so you would have to get his OC and like put her on his shoulders, and they would go
I should
run down
get a
the field.
picture of you like making a hugging motion and draw.
Oh my god,
your
burn.
OC into you.
You know what I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of? So
What's up?
I sent you the album of the BronyCon pictures before. Remember how I had like my little OC like tucked out of my sweater?
Yeah.
Like it would be like a real pony tucked out of a sweater. It'd be adorable.
Oh. I walked around after BronyCon with a Luna peeking out of my backpack.
It's super
See,
cute.
You need to make a special special OC bag, pony bag.
Oh my god, it'd be so
backpack
cute.
thing. You can, like hold your
See,
pony
but
in.
I feel like that would only really work if the pony came to like the human world, because otherwise it would be really weird to have like, you know what I mean? Like you'd be walking around the pony world and all the other ponies would be like, why is that pony being carried like that? That's weird.
I would like everyone on our podcast listening to know that we joke about this with sincerity. I don't actually wish I was teleported into Equestria. This is
That's
just
true.
this is just a fun question.
Okay, so here's the deal, right? I
Just
had
throwing that out there. Disclaimer to the world.
so I had a conversation with my coworkers today that I feel is kind of in the same vein of where I'm going here. So
Mhm.
I am naturally like I'm one of the more like curious people that I've met, and what I mean by that is like when I'm curious about something, like I really want to like try it out, you know? So like skydiving is something I'm really curious about. Like I really want to go do that, you know, despite any fears of like dying or heights or whatever. Like I really want to go do that, right? So here's the deal. There was a situation at work. We had like happy hour this week. We have it every 2 weeks where we just basically go up to the kitchen, drink beers, and have a fun time.
Sounds like work.
Yeah, it's great. And we were chatting, and someone mentioned like, you know, if I had to. It was this woman who was mentioning like if I had to come back, I'd probably stay a woman because I'm used to that and whatever, blah blah blah. And I was mentioning like my curiosity, like there's no way given that choice that I couldn't like come back as the opposite sex, because I'm too curious. I would never live down not at least trying, you know.
What if you couldn't go back?
Well, that's the thing though. Like my curiosity is bigger than my potential regret. You know what I mean? Like that's the type of curious person I am. So relating this back to our conversation, right? If someone was like, you know, you can go to Equestria, like I might not even want to, but my curiosity wouldn't let me like say no to that, because it's just like I have to go see what it's like, you know?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so sorry, I misparted what you were saying. You're saying if you were to try being the other sex.
So like let's say you know. Let's say you die, or let's say, you know, something happens right now where suddenly, like, everything pauses and some sort of god comes down and says, you have to restart your life. We've totally corrupted something and we've lost all the data. And
Yeah,
we have
and-
to restart your life, but you get to choose, are you going to be a guy like you are now, or are you going to be a girl?
Okay, I got
So my curiosity would not allow me to say guy, even though I might be like more comfortable with that because I grew up as a guy. Because like I have to, like I'm too curious about it. Like I'd have to try the other side. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing with the Equestria thing. If somebody stopped and was like you could be teleported to Equestria right now, or you can continue living the life that you lived. Like I might want to prefer living this life, but I'm so curious that I'd have to go see what it was like.
I gotcha.
That's just because I'm a super curious person. So, yeah.
Curiouser and curious.
Anyways, this question started out with really stupid answers, and it actually ended up being pretty good answers. So I'm glad.
Yeah,
I'm glad. All right. Well,
but seriously,
My answers
I would just go find Luna. That's all.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Go say
My
hi.
answers were stupid answers.
No.
Make out with myself. I'm a sexy horse.
No, they were good. All right. Well, that's basically everything. So we need to get on to the plugs. So I'm gonna make DarkFlame do the plugs. Scroll down to the bottom of the Google Doc so you can see what they are for a reminder.
Come on, Bernd. Waiting on you, man.
All right. Ignore
Stop
that.
Saying it's off. What?
Don't read that part.
Sorry.
You listen to the show, Dark. You should know some of this stuff already.
I'm sorry.
Anywho,
I'm tired.
these are all the places in which you can find us, and you can read them. This one's
Why does it say Google.com?
Well, because the Picardo link sucks. So
Because it's awful.
yeah, stop.
Just read them. All right, here's the plugs. Go.
Cutie Art Crusaders on Picardo.tv and cutieartcrusaders.deviantart.com and cutieartcrusaders@gmail.com and youtube.com/cutieartcrusaders, cutieartcrusaders.tumblr.com, facebook.com/cutieartcrusaders, and then the odd man out is Twitter, Cutie Art Crusade.
At Cutie Art Crusade.
Well, yeah,
Nice.
whatever.
Awesome. So you can
There's only one of them.
You can find us on all of those. Of course, you can look on the screen right now if that was confusing at all.
Thanks, DarkFlame.
Yeah, because I'm confused.
That's all right.
And I'm awful.
That's all right. To be fair, these are Joel's notes, so blame him.
Yeah.
Because they're awful.
Because he's off in Bali. All right. Well, that is everything for this week. Thanks for coming on, Dark, even though you had no choice at all because Burn dragged you here.
Hey, I drove 8 hours to get you.
Drove 8 hours to be on the podcast. So don't find our addresses and drive 8 hours. If you show up at our doors, we will not let you record the podcast. We will kick you out and potentially call the police. So
DarkFlame.
I'm special.
he is. Well, I mean, that's the reason why we had you on. It's because you're special.
I'm special.
DarkFlame loved me.
All right.
Post about this on
This,
Twitter.
okay. This is getting weird. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
I was trying to make some sort of like senpai joke, but I couldn't come up with one.
Just ding ding.
What? Oh my god. All right.
That
That's right. That was you, wasn't it?
was me.
I hate you. You're the worst. Why did we ever let you back on? All right. That's everything for this week, guys. So hope everyone enjoyed it. I had a fun time. I'm glad you're back, Bernd. It was
Thanks, man.
It was hard when
It's
you
good
were
to be
gone.
back.
You're a lot of fun to record with.
It was
I
pretty boring
appreciate
without
that.
you.
Especially when you are actually awake for a podcast. Ayo! All right. That is everything
My
for
feelings
this
that was
week.
brought up and this is brought back.
You know, that's thanks to me, actually. I got him to
Yep.
wake up
It's
early.
true.
So
Well, you also got me to go to bed early.
exactly,
Yep.
that's what I mean.
Good. You should just stay there.
Which it's weird that me of all people, I'd be the one to do that.
Well, Bernd is a special little
What
pony.
was funny was when I was going to bed, because you were trying to sleep, so I was like, I guess I'll go to sleep too. When I was walking past the upstairs, I heard my parents upstairs going, "What the hell is going on with our life? Like, we're retired now, and we're staying up till 1:40 in the morning, where a Bernd is going to bed at like 12 o'clock at night. Like, what's wrong? What's happening?"
Well, it's because, Bernd, you're becoming an adult. That's what happens. Suddenly you have the parent
I'm an
schedule.
He
adult
really is
now.
adult.
I'm a horse-obsessed adult now.
Well, that happens. Anyways, that is everything
best of it.
for this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Whether or not you're on Picarto or on YouTube,
Or if you're a horse.
we love you all the same. My name is Rainbow Plasma.
My name's Bernd.
And my name is Darkoplasma Flame.
Dark Flam.
My
Don't
name's
joke
Bernd
around,
Flam.
Dark Flam. And we'll see you guys next week.
Love you!
Bye.